Man here. I've got Rez Verno. I can't say his last name. I didn't ask him how to say it. We'll edit that out later. How you doing, Rez?
Good.
All right, and you are a theist. You emailed me and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you," and I'm like, "All right, cool." And so now we're here, and got to get this insanity out of the way here of clearing up just a few basic questions that I like to ask these days. Yeah, I've got the age of the Earth, age of the universe, the biological evolution. You got a problem with any of those things?
Yes, I do have a problem with the age of the Earth. It's not a thing that exists. It's like science, general relatively. There's no such thing as objective time. So to say that Earth has a objective age is just silly.
There, what?
You know, general relativity.
I'm not. I mean, I know about it. I wouldn't. I don't. I'm no expert.
Anyways, in short, general relativity says time is relative. So there is no objective time in the universe. So you can't objectively say how long the universe is.
That's not how we figured out the age of the Earth, though. So
it's you can still say it has an age, but it's subjective. It depends where you are. For example, if you're in a black hole, it would be much younger.
It's impossible to date anything then?
To objective time, yes, but yes, you can give, based on your relative time, you can give an age.
Okay, and so are you fine with these being relatively time to being the ages as supported by science?
Sure. I don't seek to argue with like the current theories, though. It must be said, though, the current theory for the universe has some interesting things about it. Did you know, like, the current cosmology depends on 85% of the matter in the universe being a dark matter halo around galaxies?
Where do you where do you get
this? You can just look it up.
Oh, okay.
Look it up. But,
that's not can you provide a link for a particular scientific peer-reviewed paper on this?
Sure.
All right.
Just post in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the private chat and I'll share it with the public chat. And yeah. Okay, well, I hope to, start easy with logic and stuff like that. But I mean, I just wanted to clear the field and make sure you weren't a young Earth creationist or whatever.
No, that is also pretty silly. Like, why would you say? How can you say, like, the Earth is, or the creation days were 7 days when there was no sun? Then there wouldn't be days, because a day is by definition the sun or the Earth rotating.
Yeah, right.
Through a day and night.
Yeah, I mean
the literalist. That's not how Christians have taken it for most of human history. For example, Augustine, like one of the most famous fundamental Christian forefathers, he didn't believe in it being literal 7 days. And like people who dogmatically hold to it being 7 days, that's pretty new.
Yeah, I don't know when that began offhand. I just know that it's a thing, especially in America, sadly. Okay, so yeah, we so what brand of theology do you subscribe to? What denomination were you raised in it?
Just 1 second. I'm trying to look up a peer-reviewed study.
Yeah. That might take a while. Yeah, it's not the sort of thing that you just go, oh yeah, here you go, bing. Unless you knew beforehand.
It's not how people really usually work. I mean, they don't know their source. They don't like remember all the sources, scientific peer-reviewed papers.
Well, they do.
Usually, you learn from a teacher, and the teacher gets his knowledge from a.
Well, here we like to force citations upon those that make claims. That's what I like to do, and I scold every video that I've analyzed has made at least one claim without citation. Well, maybe not every single one, but many of the videos that I've analyzed that have said a claim will lack citation for it. So that's always annoying. Even when you get into the theology side and just go, okay, well, ignore all the logical and scientific problems with your argument. Just look at this from a theist point of view. They didn't even mention the verses in the Bible to support their argument.
Could you give an example of that?
Well, just in one of the many videos I've done, over time, just offhand thinking about that stuff, like like people have sometimes not even bothered with that. So it's like, oh, come on, guys, you got to do better than that, Not that I, care anymore because I'm not a theist anymore, but it's just funny when they go so far broken that they're not even theologically, doing anything.
Yeah.
All right, so what, we can circle back to the thing later and all that. You can always email me that.
It's not particular important. Just
yeah, it's fine.
I'm just saying.
We can go ahead and be skeptical of your view for now until we get that email. And once I have it, I'll put it in the description.
Weird that the current theory of the universe depends on 85% of the matter in the universe being unobservable dark matter.
According to, well, that now is that a consensus among cosmologists?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you see the link I sent in the chat?
Let's see. Okay, this
does that have it?
Is an article. This is not a peer-reviewed published paper.
That's
so
NASA.
Let's see. Yeah, and I asked for a peer-reviewed published paper.
How do you even look those up?
Well, there's a thing called Google Scholar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you trust NASA?
It's not a matter of trust. It's a matter of asking for a peer-reviewed published paper, which you did not provide.
Well, that's kind of ridiculous because in normal conversations,
this is
bring around.
This is not a normal conversation. This is you making a statement about a fact of reality, and then me saying, "Really, prove it," and you need to back that up with some actual proof of science. You said, "Oh, all cosmologists all concurrently agree with this." Well, I don't see anything that indicates that cosmologists widely agree with this explanation here on NASA's page. It doesn't say anything about how many cosmologists support or agree with this particular article that you've linked to. So I don't know where you come up with the idea that this is widely accepted by most cosmologists, and he left. Well, that was that, everybody. Once you apply skepticism, the theist runs away, my friends. Well, what else is new? Yeah, well, not a surprise. Not a surprise. Don't know what to say about that. Just, more of the same. So I guess we'll go into let's see. Okay, so he just quotes from the website that he posted. Oh, I forgot to put it in chat. Hold on. I did say I would put that in chat. I do fulfill my obligations and what I say that I will do. Now, note how he thought this was going to be a normal conversation and not one where I held him to requirements of, supporting the burden of proof. Oh, wait, he is back. Maybe it was a technical connection. Yes.
Yeah, I'm using
Yes.
mobile Wi-Fi. It's probably not good.
Okay, we thought for a moment there that you might have run away.
Where's your evidence of that?
Well,
Where's your peer-reviewed scientific study?
Well, you vanished, and we thought that you might have run away, as others have when put to the pressure.
Do you have a peer-reviewed study to back that up?
This is not a statement that would require that. You disappeared. We thought that you vanished and ran away, like some other theists have done in the past on this channel. I will not be surprised if you do that. So if you want to play the game, we can play the game. All right, Rez. Let's play the game.
I'm still trying to.
Is your theology, and were you raised in it?
Just 1 second, please.
Let's.
I'm about to post a link. Shh.
What is your theology, and were you raised in it?
Okay, got a peer-reviewed study from the. How do I share this?
Post it in the private chat.
When I'm hitting copy link, it's just.
Let me ask you, Rez. Just out of curiosity, what level of education are you at?
Currently a layman.
No, what school level?
Graduate high school.
Okay, I suspected.
Okay, so did you get my peer-reviewed scientific study from?
Well, that doesn't link to a direct study. What that does link is to several articles about dark matter percentage universe. Which one would you like to use to support your statement that the current cosmological model is one that requires, what did you say, 80%, 70% dark matter, and that it was also supported by the majority of cosmologists? Because remember, unless you want to...
Dark Matter in the Universe is by Reverend Rubin, Scientific America. You go click on that, hit download, and it'll say right up 90% of the matter in the universe is invisible, detecting dark matter. Yeah.
Which one are you referring to?
The one by Vera Rubin. It is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 article listed there.
Okay, 1, 2. Okay, so this one right here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Abstract cold dark matter may be super. Okay. Received back then. Let's see. Affiliations. References required. I hate that. Stupid paywalls. I'll have to look at this through thing. Okay, so citing your articles. That's good. See references. I need to be logged in to do that. Okay, and where does it indicate that this is widely accepted by cosmologists?
You can go research that yourself.
Okay, so you're going to go ahead and withdraw the statement that this is widely accepted by... You are going to withdraw the statement that this is widely accepted by cosmologists. You are going to withdraw that statement. Okay. You are going to withdraw that statement because it is not factual. You cannot support it by showing that it is widely accepted by cosmologists. If you refuse to do this, then we discard this as being a fact. That's how that works. Welcome to adulthood and reality, and YouTube, where religion comes to die. Enjoy your stay. It only gets harder from here. See, Rez, when you present something to your teachers now, they, there's certain things that they require of you, but when you enter college, they're going to require a hell of a lot more. And as you go through life and as you deal with things in real life, you're going to find that people require a ton of evidence from you to get certain things. And you can't just say, well, look it up yourself. That's not going to stand. We're not going to accept that. We skeptics do not do that. We don't look it up ourselves. We put the burden upon the person that made the claim, and that, in this case, is you, sir. So if you do not want to do that, you're free to make whatever claims you want somewhere else. But here on my channel, if you make a claim, you're going to need to support it in some way, shape, or form. Now,
okay, I'll go do that. If that's what you want to spend the whole time doing, I will go find it.
Okay, yeah, show me that it's been that this particular idea is supported by the majority of cosmologists. And as you do that, I'm going to interview you about your theology. Now,
okay,
what theology do you have, and were you raised in it?
I'm a Roman Catholic. I was not raised in it.
Okay. How did you come to be Roman Catholic?
I was convinced by logical arguments of it.
Which logical arguments?
A bunch of them.
A bunch of them.
A bunch of them, yes.
Okay. Have you studied informal and or formal logic?
I know of it to a degree.
Have you studied it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, you've studied informal logic specifically?
As a layman.
As a layman, all right? So you're familiar with MP, HS?
Somewhat familiar, but heard of it, but no. As I said, I'm a layman.
Okay. So let's imagine for a moment that we were to play chess and neither one of us had played before. Now we have to learn how the pieces move to even really play the game. Would you agree with that, Rez?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I had studied a bit about chess and some strategy and moves, do you think that I would have the advantage in that game?
Yes.
Okay. So would it be a good idea to attempt to play against a grandmaster in chess?
You are not a grandmaster.
Would it be, I never said I was, would it be a good idea to play a grandmaster in chess with just a layman's knowledge? I mean, it would be interesting, certainly, but you wouldn't last very long, you don't think, right? Correct? Is that fair?
Yeah? Using your analogy, yes.
Well, yeah, that's what we're doing. It's called a thought experiment, Rez. So, if you looked at an argument and you did not know as much as you could know about informal logic, having only a layman's understanding, could it be that because you do not quite understand all of informal logic, that these arguments look to be good, but in reality have one or more logical fallacies? Could that be the case given your limited knowledge, Rez?
No.
Huh?
No.
It could not be that because of your limited knowledge, you do not know how to identify a fallacy or two, or a structural inaccuracy, or a lack of a truth table required and or citation required, or any other problems with formatting, or the formula given if they do formalized logic, that in your, dare I say, layman understanding of logic, all of this would not possibly bar you from recognizing that the argument was somehow flawed because you know enough about it to know that it is correct somehow, even though you are an admitted layman, Rez. Is that my understanding, Rez? You can't possibly be wrong about these arguments being possibly wrong because you have a layman's understanding. Does that really sound good to you, Rez? Or could it be, perhaps, that because you have a layman's understanding that the argument might contain one or more fallacies and you didn't spot it because of your lack of knowledge? You wouldn't even know what to see. How do you know what to look at if you haven't learned the entire body of knowledge that informal logic has to offer to be able to identify problems in the argumentation that you're looking at, Rez?
Because you don't need to know the entirety of formal logic to understand a logical argument.
I said informal logic, Rez. There is a difference
Or
between
informal.
formal and informal logic. You do know the difference, right?
No.
Okay. Well, that's a problem right there, isn't it? If it made a formal fallacy, you wouldn't be able to recognize it, would you, Rez?
I probably would.
You probably would, but you wouldn't necessarily recognize it. Isn't that fair to say?
No, I am not all-knowing.
Okay, so let's try again. Rez, with your layman knowledge of informal and formal logic, could it be that any of these arguments had one or more logical fallacies and you simply were unable to identify them due to your limited knowledge?
Let's talk about a specific argument.
Well, I'd like you to answer the question of could it be possible that due to your limited knowledge that you were unable to spot one or more logical fallacies in any of these arguments? Is that possible? Yes or no?
As it is possible for humans to be wrong, sure.
Okay. Very good. So then your previous statement when you said, no, it's not possible, I couldn't possibly be wrong, is then I would suppose withdrawn. Would that be fair to say? Say yes. Make it much easier on you, Rez. See, being wrong is okay. You know what's amazing about...
Be quiet, I'm thinking.
You
talking in generality, sure, but not necessarily in a specific argument.
Okay, Rez. Do you have any sort of hang up with being wrong about things, Rez? Because, forgive me here, it seems to me
I realize I'm wrong about many things most of the time. For example, every single prediction I've had on the Ukrainian war was false.
Okay. Yeah, and you also have to recognize that, you don't know a lot about...
Okay. For example, like the proof that one...
Okay, Rez, you do not shush me. That doesn't happen on my channel. Okay, Rez? So, do not do that again.
Sure, then.
All right. You are unmuted.
There are some things that I do know for certain, logically. For example, like Pythagorean theorem, or 1 + 2, 1 + 2 = 3.
Okay.
So no, there are things, even though I do not know the entirety of informal logic or formal logic, I do know that with complete and utter certainty to be true.
Absolutely, and that's fine. I'm fine with that, Rez. It's just
that is my answer.
I want you to recognize that, sometimes we don't spot things because they're outside of our field of knowledge or expertise or lack of expertise, and that's okay because we get to learn something new, Rez. And my whole purpose of YouTube, although I'm doing it in the weirdest way possible, is to encourage people to learn informal logic. And it doesn't make sense the way I do it. I fully admit that nothing I do makes any sense, but I want people to learn informal logic. Why? Well, that why doesn't really matter. I just really want people to learn it. And if you learned informal logic and then went back and looked at these arguments, I think you might see them in a new light. Now, there are
So
questions happening in
you're
chat
saying
that
that you know more than, let's say, Plato or Thomas Aquinas. Those are people that I'm pretty sure they understand logic better than you or me, but they still,
well,
for example, believed in the one.
Rez, I don't know how much logic they knew or did not know, but appealing to uh, any individual is not how that works. What we have to
No,
do is
I've heard.
examine the argument, see. And you might be an expert in
So
logic.
hey, I have a question. So it's appealing to the authority of the community of scientists on, let's say, a scientific theory. Is that a appeal to authority
It could be
fallacy?
depending on how you formulate the argument, but let me explain here, Rez. Uh, that the argument must stand or fail on its own merits. It is not only possible, but extremely probable and likely that somebody that has a belief in something that they're strongly committed to might, knowing and understanding logic fully, deliberately mislead people because they're so desperate to support that idea that they're willing to lie to others and negate their burden of telling the truth. Maybe they don't care because they think
I
this is
I
more
fully agree with
important.
that statement.
Right. So
With you.
Thomas and Plato and whoever else you want to throw out there. By the way, Aristotle pwned Plato on metaphysics and logic. He actually invented logic. So Plato, I don't know if
Well,
Plato knew logic because Aristotle pwned him. But nonetheless,
Aristotle founded on classical theism, so that doesn't really help your argument.
that's what they founded on is not relevant, and that would be arguing for what God he believed in, which is not classical theism.
No, it
And
is.
no, and
Yes,
then
it
you're
is.
misinformed on
Yes,
that.
it is. You are
Well,
misinformed on that.
okay, well, again, we can do this all day long. Well, not all day long. You only have an hour, but at any rate, uh, okay, so appealing to these people and saying, well, they have to know this logic. Maybe they
Hey, no,
do.
no, no. I'm saying they
Maybe
know more
they
than me. I'm the learner.
well
I learn from
well
them.
I don't know. They knew some things that I don't know, and I know some things that they don't know, and I certainly and we collectively as a human species know more than they ever did back then because of modern science. They didn't know half of what we as a civilization know now. You bring a smartphone back to their time and be like, "Hey, look what beep, beep, beep," and you're like, magic, burn this guy. Of course, you wouldn't be able to get cell phone reception, but you could do a lot of things with a smartphone. Of course, once the battery runs out, then you'd be like, "Oh well, my magic's gone now."
I would disagree with that. Yes, we do have better understanding of the sciences, but our understanding of metaphysics is much worse.
Well,
And we have very
metaph-
dumb theories going around today, like
yeah, and
denying like the existence of consciousness, free will, which is just, for lack of a better word, retarded. No one in the past would have believed that. But
well,
because of modern scientists,
past
at least some
believed
people
it
would
or
believe that.
whether people in the past believe it or not is irrelevant. What matters is the truth, don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the
And
truth is
and
eternal, so it applies both to the past and the
if
future.
if it happens to be that it's true that we don't have consciousness, whatever that is, or we don't have free will, then that's what the truth is, right, Rez? Whether you think it's stupid or not, if that happens to be the case, then that's it. That's the case, right?
No, because I know for sure I have consciousness. That's the only thing I can truly
Oh,
be known for sure.
okay. So
Even if I was just a brain in a
even if
vat.
we found ample evidence of this being a fact, it wouldn't matter to you. It wouldn't matter to you because you know for certain that it's true, Rez.
Yes, I know I'm conscious. How can you deny that?
No, I see. I'm not denying that, Rez. This is again a thought experiment. Okay, you need to turn down your adrenaline and your testosterone a little bit. You're still, what, teenage years there, you know. just tune it back a bit, all right, and listen to your elders. I'm sure you've been taught that
I
in
do, but
Catholic
you are
school.
not my elder.
Well, I actually am far older than you. You're young enough to be. Well, actually, you're younger than
No,
my son.
church
So
fathers
you're.
are my elders. You are not.
Yeah. Well. Oh. Just. I do want to clarify one thing, Rez. Have they kept you after church? You know.
Oh, shut up, you Catholic bigot.
Well, it does happen. I mean, look,
Bigotry,
it,
bigot.
it does happen. I mean, the
That's the
pedophiles
equivalent of
were
saying,
everywhere.
oh, a black man raped this woman, therefore all
No, no,
blacks
no,
are
no.
rapists. Yep,
No, I
you are
didn't say
doing
that.
a racist,
All right,
bigoted
all right, all
stereotype.
right. You're on mute again because you need to learn how to behave in adult world, which you are in right now. Now, Rez, what I'm doing is playful poking. It's a little bit of ribbing. It's a little bit. You need to let that slide off, okay? You know, turn the other cheek, as Jesus said. Okay, now back to the topic. So, these logical arguments, where did you come across them? How did that happen? Because you weren't raised Catholic. So, who introduced you to these arguments in the first place? How did you come across this? Were you raised in any religion at all, or
Yes.
okay? What religion were you raised in?
Evangelical.
Evangelical. Okay, and that Protestant then.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and then did somebody introduce you to Catholicism or these arguments, or how did that come about?
Yeah, through my research, I've come to determine that Catholicism is true.
Okay, so who got you started on that? Is that something that you just spontaneously did one day? What happened? Tell me the story here.
I like researching. I do not remember the exact path I took, but yes.
Okay, and how did you engage in research? What was that process like?
Just intuitive learning, looking stuff up, watching debates, etc.
Okay. Seems how long did it take before you decided that these arguments were compelling enough to switch from Protestant to Catholic? Because that's a pretty big switch.
6 years.
6 years. That's a mighty lengthy time, especially for somebody young. So if you're 18 now, and I'm guessing, I don't know. I mean, you could be 20. I don't know. That would be quite a long. Yeah, they'd be quite young when you started. I think his internet's going out again.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, we're not sure what intuitive learning is. What is intuitive learning there, Rez?
I will not explain learning. I just learned it, okay?
You will not explain intuitive learning?
You know how people learn, okay?
I know how people learn. What is intuitive learning?
I don't know.
Oh, but you used it to learn these things, Rez. How
no,
did you
I
do
just
that?
use learning.
Well, you said intuitive learning.
Split hairs all you want.
Well, that's what you said. I'm just going on what you said, Rez. I can only go on what you say here. Help me out here. How did you find out that this stuff was true? You looked up some videos on YouTube and just decided, I want to be a Catholic after 6 years? Is that how it went?
6 years, listen to thousands of arguments. Eventually, the evidence, there's more evidence in favor of Catholicism. That was still Protestant then, but then more evidence came until it's just undeniable. Catholicism is true.
And what did your parents react positively, negatively to that? Was there any kind of backlash? They don't care. Well, I'm not really surprised by that. Do you guys still talk about God at all, or did you talk about God before your switch?
No, not much.
Okay. So you kind of just had a kind of like what I would call an American Christianity, where you just kind of like went to church on Sundays and you didn't really talk about God that much?
Correct.
Okay. And so you wanted a deeper religious experience, perhaps, and you found it. No? Okay, well, you got to tell me your story. I'm just guessing here. I've offered for you to tell me your story of how you converted from Protestant to Catholic, but You know, you're not giving me a lot to work with here, Rez.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right. Okay. Now I know I ribbed you a little bit earlier. Maybe you're still a little bit off put by that. Would it help you if I apologize for that?
Oh, you're not sorry. Don't apologize.
Oh, I'm not sorry. Oh, you can read my mind.
Oh, I do have the power of telephony, which is the ability to use telephones. But no, I do not have telepathy. So no,
Okay.
but it's just an assumption. I can have assumption.
Yes, but perhaps it wouldn't be good to assume that somebody that offers you an apology is not, in fact,
I talked to thousands of atheists, though.
thousands. Really? Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wasted so much time in YouTube comment sections debates.
Well, it might indeed be a waste of time if you haven't learned anything new. What was it you were trying to find out from the atheists? What has been your experience so far?
I might have to apologize for this, but they're all stupid. I don't mean that in the mean way. They just
you don't mean being stupid in a mean way. Of course not. You mean being stupid in the nicest way possible. Of course, yes.
Maybe just like mentally impaired.
Oh, and you're not. You're not. Of course, you're above that.
Well,
so, in what way are they mentally?
Consciousness exists? No. So, now,
Rez, did I ever deny that consciousness existed?
I wasn't talking about you. I wasn't talking about you. Just talking about some.
Remember what I said about shushing? Remember what I said? Not to do that. No. Not going to happen here, Rez. Is that something that you do with your parents? Do you ever shush them?
You are not my parent.
I'm asking you a question, though. Do you shush your parents? Do you shush your teachers? Or anybody
Thou shalt honor thy father and mother.
Okay. Do you shush them? Yes or no?
Who?
Do you shush your parents?
Thou shalt honor your father and mother, so no.
No. Okay. Do you shush other people?
If they're being stupid, yes. Or if I just need to think or get my point across, yes.
And have you been perhaps met with some negative resistance in real life when you've done that?
Yes.
Well, perhaps this is a learning moment. Don't do that anymore because it's not a really good look, okay? It's not good. And it's just not gonna go over well. You know? And as you get older, people are gonna get less patient and might cause you some physical altercations I want you to avoid. So I'm just trying to help you out here, Rez. Now, you said a lot of things. You seem to kind of be up
one day as a lion.
You seem to be kind of high up on your horse, but yet you don't seem to know a lot about, formal logic, science. It seems like you think that you know.
I do know more than you. I'm pretty sure.
You think that you know more than me about what?
For example, dark matter halos.
Okay. Please educate us on dark matter halos since you didn't even know
how to look up I gave you a source.
You gave me a source, which was finally after I made you dig for a peer-reviewed paper, you found one thing that might or might not support your idea.
It does.
It does? How do you know that? Have you read the paper?
You know so little. You don't even know common knowledge of dark matter.
Common knowledge? It's common knowledge?
It is common knowledge.
Really? How many people know about dark matter?
You know about science? It was like in my 10th grade science book.
Oh, it was in your 10th grade science book. Well, there you go. I mean, that's just common knowledge. Anybody that attended your 10th grade should know about dark matter.
Probably should. I don't know why you don't.
Well, I don't know. I mean, when I was in school, we didn't know about dark matter yet. It's kind of a recent thing in a way.
No, it's not. We needed to explain the rotational speed of galaxies.
We do? Okay,
yes.
So what's your problem with that exactly then?
It's just no evidence of it.
Oh, well,
besides the gravitational effect.
Okay, so we should discard things that have no evidence for them. And
no,
why do we...
no.
No.
Wait.
Now, we shouldn't discard things that have no evidence for them?
There is evidence for dark matter. I'm not saying we should discard it altogether, though it is enough to make me skeptical.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And to be skeptical is, of course, to hold in question the idea, right?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So things that we don't have evidence, empirical evidence, repeatable tests for, we should be skeptical of. Is that fair to say? Okay, I agree. I agree. See, we're back on the same page. We did it somehow. We got through all of this. All right, so lay it on me, Rez. What is your evidence for God?
I'll just have one argument. Only
No.
have 9 minutes left.
No. Stop.
Hey.
Evidence, not an argument. What's your evidence for God?
Arguments are evidence.
No, they are
An
not.
argument with true premises, with correct logic, valid logic, must be true.
Yes. Now, this is where we were in the
Hey.
and
We're not going to get anywhere. I have 8 minutes left. Can I at least do one argument?
Well, you can do your one argument, and then I'll explain all the fallacies in it. It won't help you, but yeah, go ahead. Which argument are you going to get here?
Number premise 1: existence exists. Premise 2:
I'm sorry.
Does existence exist? Do you disagree with that?
That is a tautology, not a premise. So already you have a malformatted argument. So
does existence exist?
That's irrelevant. That's a tautology. It shouldn't be a premise.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. You don't know how to do this. It's not looking good for you. Maybe study informal logic, but go ahead. Existence exists.
It does. And we must get our existence ultimately from that which essence is its existence. We have intellect, therefore intellect exists, therefore intellect gets existence from the source of all existence. So, in conclusion...
Okay, hold on. Premise 1 was existence exists. Premise 2 was what again? Say it again so I can type it out here.
Everything that exists gets its existence from that which essence is its own existence.
Everything. Can you type
intellect
this out, perhaps?
exists.
Are you copying this from a website? Do you have this written out, or?
Oh, just by memory.
Okay, everything that exists. Go ahead. You might have to go a little bit, slower.
This is existence from that which essence is its existence.
Existence. Gets its existence from. Be helpful.
That which essence is its existence. What it is its own existence.
What is its own. You're cutting out here.
That which essence is its own existence.
That which
essence. Do you know what essence is?
Okay. It'd be helpful if you could type this out, perhaps, for us in chat.
Do you know what essence is?
It'd be helpful if you could type this out in chat.
Could you answer my question? Do you know what essence is?
I don't know what you mean by it. I'm not sure what you mean.
So you don't know what essence means?
I don't.
You don't even know what essence means.
I don't know what you mean by essence. See, there's this problem of
it's subjective. Yeah, these terms are defined.
Yes, and that's called.
Goodbye. You don't know anything. You're just a fool.
Well, that's what you've proven the point that you don't seem to know that much, and all you seem to be able to do is insult, hush, and do other childish things that we hope that you'll grow out of, Rez. And if you ever are invited behind the pew, run, Rez, run. Okay, well, I think he cut out completely now for sure. Premise 2 sounded like essence. I don't know. I couldn't make that out. Could anyone in chat make that out? It's his existence from the essence. I don't know. Yeah, it depended on the context, and I wasn't really sure what essence meant in this context because premise 1 wasn't a premise. It's just a tautology. Existence exists. That's silly. Nobody would ever use that as a premise because that's just a tautology. You don't need to say it. Existence. Yes, he has quit. He has rage quit. So I think what we're seeing here is a very young man who thinks a lot of himself in his own knowledge. The kind of the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up to everybody because, I've got time and I'd rather talk to any of you guys. So I think that the conclusion there, after he said the essence of something, I couldn't make it out. If anyone in chat could make out what he said, I really honestly couldn't. I was trying to understand what he was saying, but he was getting impatient. I don't know why he didn't just type it out. I don't know. I'm trying to give him chance after chance to, to come back from the brink of madness, which I think he was in. Now, maybe I pushed him there a bit, and you can blame me if you want. I can be a little bit rough, but I'm not going to try to excuse my behavior. I mean, well, yeah, not really though, because the ontological argument wouldn't start with that premise. Nobody that understood informal logic would ever use existence exists as a premise. It's like lobsters are lobsters. Wow, really? You just said something that is tautologically true. You don't even need to say it. It's just silly. You wouldn't do that. You would get a flunking grade. But I think that his argument is something like the essence of what it exists, and then we're intelligent, so therefore we come from intelligence, and then there's a great intelligence that's God or something like that. I couldn't really understand what he was saying. Again, if anyone in chat could understand what he said, let me know. He's gone, Yin Yang. He left. So I'm opening the Hangout for anyone that wants to join in. You can just go ahead and click the link and join in. Come on, Yin Yang. I know you wanna. Come on, talk about Rez with me. But I think what we saw here is a very young man who will encounter the real world. And I don't like violence, I really don't, but I suspect that if he shushes people in real life, he will get punched in the face a few times. I suspect that he needs to be confronted in some meaningful way to get out of his, mindset. I don't think that Catholicism will be good for him, honestly, because they tend to go this pseudo intellectual route with people and make them think that they know stuff when they don't. And I'm seeing this a lot with the arguments convince me. When we heard his explanation of how he came to be a Catholic, it took him 6 years. He looked at YouTube videos. Well, he said videos. He didn't say YouTube videos, but I'm assuming YouTube, maybe TikTok videos, and he did think, he thought about it. He's using words, fancy sounding words without knowing their meaning. He's resisted on admitting that he doesn't know informal or formal logic. We've seen that before from others. We all kind of knew that he was going to eventually rage quit. Hey, there's a Keith boy. Hey, it's a Keith.
Hey,
Keith.
how's it going?
God, how are you, Keith? How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's been far too long, my good friend, my old good friend. We're old.
We are old.
Keith, what are your thoughts here on this interaction? I don't know how long were you here for? Were the whole thing, some of it, or?
No, I only caught the tail end of it, to be honest.
Okay. Was it as much as you expected, though? From now, is the problem, because it could be a multifaceted problem? I'm wondering, do you think he was young in high schoolish? He wasn't too clear on where he was, but I suspect he was 17, 16-ish, maybe 18, but I was like, he doesn't, he sounded young, and that's fine, because,
about half our age.
Yeah, well, more than, I'm 40, what am I, 43 now? Oh my God, how did that happen? Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I'm 43 now, so, which is weird, because I don't you never feel. I guess I don't know what that means to feel age. I don't know, whatever. But I've dealt with theists that think they know more than scientists. I've dealt with theists that think they know more than philosophers. It's rare that I deal with somebody who thinks they know better than themselves, because, and you missed this I think earlier. I said, he admitted to having limited knowledge of informal and formal logic. He's aware of them. He hasn't studied them, in other words, just kind of knows a little bit about it. Whatever he looked up online, maybe he read a couple things, maybe not even that. We don't know. But granting him the benefit of the doubt, that I asked him the question, given your limited knowledge, couldn't it be possible that the arguments that you're looking at have one or more fallacies? And his first answer was absolutely not. That was his first answer. And so I walked him through all that again and finally got him to say, well, I don't know everything. Okay, yeah, I could be wrong. And it was like I think that, so what do you is that now we do that too. I mean, I'm sure that I've done that, and I'm sure you've done that in life, where we just think that you're right and you're like, nah, I'm right about this, and you don't. So it's not a theist only trait, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. Well, there is something to be said. There is a bit of hubris that is displayed when you say, first of all, I don't know enough. I don't know a lot about a subject, but I'm 100% certain that I'm right. That's pretty.
Yeah. It's like I don't know like anything about this, but I can't possibly be wrong. It's like, wait a minute, wait.
I mean, to say that.
Yeah, the argument, because the expertise of the people presenting the arguments is so high, they couldn't possibly be wrong about it. And of course, I had to walk them through that as well. It's like, well, they have this committed belief to an idea, and they might very well know that the argument sucks and present it anyways. Even I want to say C.S. Lewis, but I might be wrong. I thought it was who was it that said lying for Christ is okay? I know there was like this, it's cool, it's thrown around. I don't know who said it though, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who that is.
I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, but yeah. I mean, it in a way, if it was, if you thought that this was absolutely true, then you might also think, well, lying doesn't matter because I need people to believe in this, because the consequences of them not believing it are so severe that
I mean, it's a bit of the justification there is basically the ends justify the means, right?
Yeah.
Like if you fully believe in your Christian God and you believe people are going to go to hell, if that's what you really believe, then it's not a big leap to say, well, it's okay if I lie to these people, just because in the end they're going to end up in heaven, and it's going to, it's all going to come out in the wash.
I'm not saying that these guys in the past did that. I don't know if they knew or didn't know these are, because Saint Augustine, for example, I don't think he was aware. Honestly, I don't think he was aware of the logical fallacies he created in his various arguments, because the scientific knowledge at that time was not the scientific knowledge of our time. And so because of that, the arguments probably would have worked better in that time frame, because we didn't know. I think there would have been objections only on cases of, that this is an appeal to ignorance possibility, or this is a God of the gaps. That sort of fallacy would have still stuck. But for the most part, a lot of his arguments would have been fine in that era, because they didn't know cosmology,
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% possible that like in 100 years, the things that the conclusions that we've come to logically, like even if our logical arguments are sound, if the premise that we're starting from is faulty,
right,
then garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So it's possible that new revelations will.
I didn't really get around to, and I was wanting to teach, and it was hard because he kept, he was, he was a, typical youngster. So it's been a while since I've had to deal with one of those. But I wanted to teach why arguments are not evidence. Now, I should put an asterisk because technically I'm wrong, and I love being wrong on a technicality. Formalized arguments are evidence that the formalized arguments work, but they're only evidence within that thing.
Yeah.
So, and I wouldn't want to call it evidence. I'd call it a proof. And I wouldn't even want to use that word because somebody's going to misuse proof. And then I've run out of words because natural language sucks, so I don't know what to call it. But yes, there are arguments that you could say within themselves are evidence that they work because they have to work because that's just how the system works. Like you can't, like the laws of logic, you can't undo that. Like you can't dismantle the although attempts have been made, but you can't, to argue against that, you have to first formulate a new starting point and then attempt to argue against it, with the law of identity always comes to mind because there was a book and I never did get it or find it again. I was gonna, I forget what it was called, but it was something like A doesn't equal A. And it was non-classical logic, and it was picking out the idea of law of identity, and it went from it at a very semantic point of view. But it was still, I thought that was interesting because, A isn't really A because, well, the A that I wrote now is not the same that I wrote later, and it's not on the same piece of paper in the same spot, and you could get all these technicalities. It's like, well, you're not really saying that. What you're not, so, but if you get into the semantics, you can, disassemble it in that way. So it's a challenge perhaps, but it's only a challenge if you don't want to just say, well, look, abstractly speaking, A is A. Okay. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. But arguments are evidence. And I wanted to explain that to him using simple light that I have here. I'm turning on my camera and everything. I'd have to get my camera set up and show him that the premises of any argument, to know whether they're true or not, what do we have to do? How do we examine an argument to find out if there's a logical fallacy, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Keith, my light is on or off. Now that's fine. There's nothing wrong there. And I go, okay, well, it's off. Now, for that second premise, you need something to know whether that second premise is true or not in reality. You would need to see my light, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you don't know. You can say, well, within the argument, if I ignore reality and I don't, then yes, fine.
Well, I mean, strictly speaking, you could, if you want, you could, in theory, let's say that this light is a light like in your bedroom, right? And like somebody outside your house is trying to determine whether the light's on or off. You could, in theory, devise some sort of like, okay, well, we're going to measure the electrical output coming in and out of the house.
You could get it to that point. But of course, it's just simple, but you still need the evidence from the real world is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you still need some empirical evidence.
Yeah. And so the argument by itself again, with the asterisk of formal arguments, which I'm putting to the side, the argument wouldn't be sufficient to be evidence, because in order to establish the argument's valid and sound, you need to step outside of logic. You have to, well, you don't step outside of logic, but you step outside of that discipline to pull in data and find out. He had a problem with dark matter, seemed to think that he knew all about dark matter, that scientists, all or high percentage, I think he said 70% of cosmologists all agree that dark matter does this thing. Of course, I required him to pull up a peer-reviewed paper, which finally he did. I asked him if he read it. He didn't want to answer that.
I mean, it's kind of a weird it's a weird hill to die on, because
something interesting about time really early in the thing. You can go back and check it out later, but
but it's weird to say that scientists agree on anything about dark matter, because dark matter is probably one of the biggest mysteries that we have in science right now. There's not a lot of answers surrounding it. The only thing that scientists can really agree on with dark matter is that it exists, and they can define like the effects that dark matter has, but nobody's really sure.
Now, I'm not the most patient man in the universe, and I can't analyze my own self or my own argumentation, interview style, or whatever. And you were there, you said, for the bitter end there. So go ahead, critique me, Keith. Critique me. I can take it, Keith. I can take it. Keith knows I can't take it.
The only critique I would have now, like I said, because I didn't catch the whole conversation, it's hard for me to say, because you might have been on your last wits there, but I think at the end there, I feel like you interrupted him a bit. Like I kind of like what he was saying sounded like bullshit, but I feel like I kind of wanted to hear it so that we could point out exactly why. Yeah. Instead it got by the end there, you guys were just arguing about semantics and like definitions of words.
Well, he wanted to do that. I didn't know what he meant by a certain, I was trying to get him to, say his argument, and he was cutting in and out because he's on a bad connection or whatever, whatever that was about. But yeah, you're probably right. I might have been a little bit interrupted there. I don't know. Yeah, you're right, but I don't want to be wrong. So, we're just going to leave it there.
Well, I bet at the same time, it's as much as I want to say, let them finish, let them make their point before we tear it down. At the same time, like when you already know what the answer is going to be, like, it's like saying, like, do I really need to hear some guy explain to me why the sky is purple before I have to say, like, okay, well, like, I'll let you finish, but we already know it's not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He just named his. Yeah. Now he came out of the woodwork just to have as much transparency as possible. He came out of the woodwork completely out of the blue. Emailed me. I'm a theist. I want to have a conversation with an atheist, and he said, "Oh, atheists are stupid," but I mean that in the nicest way. He said some great gems that people will be commenting on once this is an actual video, I'm sure. And I prodded him a bit with him being Catholic. I said, did they keep you after church? And he's like, oh, you're being bigot. You're being a bigot. I'm like, dude, come on. Just come on. It was just, come on, you got to be, and
yeah, I mean,
he couldn't take, a little bit, tiny bit of prodding there. And I meant it in good nature. And I offered an apology. He's like, oh, you don't really mean it. I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Just know that I don't mean it. Because I do feel genuinely sorry that I upset you. I do actually feel sorry that I upset you. Because I was doing it thinking, let's just be a little bit playful, a little bit jabby, and he'll jab back, and, be a little bit playful banter. But he's not, mature enough for that, so it's bad judgment call on my part. Yeah, whatever. So Keith, we learned he's a Catholic. So given my last video, he's actually doing good. Now, my last video you probably didn't see all of or any of or whatever. But my last video, the guy was saying that Christianity was true because it's the most popular, which is stupid. And I decided at the end, I put up that Catholicism was about 51% over Protestant. So I said, hey, everyone, let's ask him if he's a Catholic. So a couple people did. And and he hasn't responded to those questions. But yeah, since the most popular thing is true, according to him, then he should be a Catholic. But we think that he's a Protestant. We could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he is. So that's a
is that Are those statistics true? I've never looked into it. Or
I don't.
Is Catholicism more than half of all of Christianity?
Well, according to the thing that I looked up, which was, I think it was Pew Research, and they're pretty darn good with that. I don't know how many people they pulled offhand, but I would say it's probably, it's probably close enough.
I mean, even if it's not literally more than half of all of Christianity, it's probably the largest single sect of all of Christianity.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty big. I mean, it was around the longest, so it'd probably be big. So, but the idea was, if you're right and what's true is defined by popularity, then you should be a Catholic. And of course, he's not a Catholic, so he's not.
Well, and does that mean that the quote unquote correct religion has changed over time? Because
that was the other, I brought up that too. I'm like, I guess back in the Greek time, they were right until they got killed by the Romans. Then the Romans were right, and it just changes. Reality.
You know what? So I'm very sorry. I do have to go. So I'm working remotely and I actually have to take a work call. But it was nice talking to you, and hopefully
we'll talk to you later. Email me. Let's do a thing. We'll do live computer cop. We have to do it in person somehow. We must make it happen.
All right. Well, later.
And he's still here. Go.
I'm trying. Go. I'm leaving.
Go. Okay. I love Keith. All right. Wow, what a fun ride. Okay, we've hit our hour mark, and I'm actually not tired because none of that it didn't tire me out. So let's look at this abstract that he thought was supportive of his insane claim about dark matter, because he didn't know what the hell he was saying. We know that he doesn't know what he was talking out of his ass. Cold dark matter may be made of super weakly interacting massive particles, super WIMPs, that naturally inherit the desired Rayleigh density. Okay. Let's see. Super WIMP matter is observable consequence. Okay. All right. Yeah. But see, this is all behind a paywall, which means let's see. Is it? Yeah. Let's see. So there's no way he could have read that paper. Now, I do know of a way to get to that paper through legitimate methods. I assure you, there's a website that I had that's like open research something, and I have to look at my bookmarks to find it. But at any rate, I am no expert, but I know when I'm not wrong, and I'm not wrong by saying that. Not only will that paper not support what he thinks it would support, but the majority of cosmologists do not have a consensus. Like he said, like 70%, whatever it was, 60, 70%. Yeah, that's a number he just pulled out of his ass. Well, according to Apologetics Squared, that would be the way to be right about reality, would be to kill everybody else, and then there'd be one person and you decide reality. I guess I'm not sure that would be a good idea, but I mean, technically you'd be like, well, I make up all the rules now because I'm the only one. Yay! Nobody can tell me I'm wrong. I did think that that Rez there might have had an issue with being wrong, in a way. I really do. I don't know that he does. I just kind of intuit that he might. And I actually have seen that with other theists. And again, it's something non-theists can do too, because we're all human, But I don't know. Maybe I should do a study or find if there's been a study done on who thinks they're right more often. Actually, I think studies have been that the more expertise somebody has, the more likely it is that they're going to say, oh, I'm probably wrong about this, or they'll hedge their bets more often. I think that's part of the Dunning-Kruger effect, that the less you know, the more sure of you are in that position, and the more you know, the less sure you are of that position. And the more I learn that I don't know diddly squat. Is it wrong? Is it wrong to be skeptical? Rez would pay to read it. No, it's not wrong. Because he didn't even know how to look up that peer-reviewed paper until he was like, "How do you even look up peer-reviewed papers?" I'm like, Google Scholar, and yeah, he just gave me like the link to the search of Google, like of Google Scholar. And he's like, "Oh, just go down like 6. That's the one I'm talking about." So this is literally what he gave me here. I'll put, I mean, this is public knowledge. I think this counts. I don't know. Maybe it's not an email, so I feel like okay. So yeah, hello. And then he said, and here is his when I said, "Hey, give me a peer-reviewed published paper on it," he gave me this, which just explains what dark energy is, and doesn't say how many people support it. It doesn't say that that's the current model of cosmology. Then he quoted from that website. Then he gave me this. So there you go. That's his beautiful citations. He's like, well, in a normal conversation, well, guess what? You're in my world. You're playing by my rules. You're playing by real world rules here. So I don't think, no, he didn't read that paper. He had no idea what it said. He looked at, he thought it supported him. It probably doesn't. And what he said about time was also baffling at the very start, if you were there for that. The time doesn't really exist. What? Absolute time. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Nobody can understand the fact. The more you understand, the less you understand. Yeah, exactly, Keith. Exactly. Let's see. What you studied in philosophy. People Res age have trouble with in-person give and take dialogues. Yeah, I suspect that in person he wouldn't have done half the stuff he did online because I would have intimidated him physically and he would have known better than to shush me. Now, again, I don't like violence, but I do have anger issues, and it might very well be that had he shushed me in real life, that I would probably be in jail because I would have assaulted him badly, a lot, because I don't play that. Hopefully not. Hopefully I would have retained my anger and just instead, sat there and looked at him like he was the mole rat that he is. Not to insult rats. Well, Nerdy is a rodent, so I don't. Hey, Nerdy, I sent you a thing and you didn't do the thing with the thing that I told you to do. I don't know. I'm probably, I need to do something for Nerdy Rodent maybe before he'll do something for me, or maybe he doesn't check his emails. I don't know. Nerdy Rodent, why don't you do the things I email you? Why? Series is bonkers and probably not true. Yeah. But yeah, he had a high view. He's talked to thousands of atheists. I don't have any idea how many theists I've talked to. I wouldn't even try to quantify it. Not, I wouldn't put a number. I've talked to a lot. I don't know how many. Could be 1,000. Probably not. I don't know. I mean, I've done a lot of videos. Not to theists, so see, talking directly, interviews. I haven't done that many interviews, so yeah. Far less than 100. I would speculate without looking. I'd say somewhere 20 something. Now I'm gonna have to count, find out what it is. Did you miss anything good, Snuffy? You missed I Got a Theist to Rage Quit, I guess. I mean, if that's good content, then yeah, you missed it. You'll have to go back and check that out. So, as he said, you don't know anything, and stormed off in a huff. Okay, so the consciousness thing, I think Yin Yang, you'll come on in. Come on, I know you want to come in and talk to me about consciousness not existing. I don't know whoever said that idea, but he's like, oh, people are like denying that consciousness exists. And I'm like, really? They are? Who? Like, I don't know who. So that must have been, I'm wondering if that was like a recent conversation. And I'm suspecting that it, like, he got so confused, like he's misremembering the conversation, possibly. But yeah, red chat, and that got me off track now. There was rage and cheers and emotions and things and stuff. Yes. There was an atheist called Atheist in a Foxhole for a long time. I don't know what happened to him, but yeah. Billiam, he seems to be a YouTuber I know has been hacked. There's no way to contact him. His email has been taken over by a bot. It's horrible. Kind of scary. Protect your emails, my friends. I think I have 2-party authorization. I don't remember now. Not changing my password. I barely remember it. It's pretty long. Okay. Yeah, consciousness exists. So challenging consciousness. I don't know what he was referring to, but the thought experiment that I wanted to drag him into, that he faked laugh at. It's like, no, look, we can question this. I know that I exist. Well, if consciousness was an illusion, then no, we don't know that we exist. Now, this is going hard level skepticism. This is going the sort of skepticism I don't like going into. But as a thought experiment, which I don't know if he could wrap his head around that either, that if it came to be shown that consciousness was not real by science, and then was supported by overwhelming data, etc., I'd be like, well, that sucks. What is it? What do we call the thing? Because like I have a voice in my head that I think is me. What is that? So it's like, well, is that what consciousness is? Well, okay, then we have to go into, because you have to define the damn word. So maybe somebody was saying that consciousness separate from a mind doesn't exist as far as we know, or can't exist as far as we know. And that he misremembered that conversation and was really hot and taut about that. Or even that somebody would suggest that it might not be real, which I'm fine with. I'm like, hey, yeah, let's explore that. Maybe consciousness isn't real. So what do we call it then? Or what would the label be? Or, I don't know. Do we have a better label? I mean, wouldn't for a theist, actually, wouldn't it be better as a theist to say, no, there is no consciousness, just a soul. The soul is you, or the spirit is you. And that's not that transcends consciousness. I think that a good theist would say, you know what? Tell you what, atheist that says that consciousness isn't a thing. You're right. Consciousness isn't a thing. We're all spirits and souls ultimately. And if you make a distinction, maybe you say soul is what you are, and a spirit is what gives you life, or something like that. So you'd say, okay, a soul is you, and so the consciousness is an improper label. See, I'm being a better theist than this guy could have been. Okay, yeah, consciousness is an emergent property. It's brought about by the system our bodies have developed over millions of years to interact with the physical world. Right, exactly. So whatever that is, that's what we label it, right? And so we go, well, maybe we're wrong about it. So Yin Yang saying the new consciousness argument from neuroscience, I am thinking where I am not, therefore I am where I'm not thinking. What? That's a bit confusing. But yeah, neuroscience has done some wacky stuff with that, where they can detect your thought before you are aware that you're thinking it. And so then he was also complaining about free will not being a thing. And that is really, I don't know. I think I know Sam Harris promoted that for a while. I don't know who else might be promoting it. I don't know of any atheists that are really actively promoting it. I don't know if it is or isn't real. I have no idea if we have free will or not. My guess, because it would be complete guess, is that we have extraordinarily limited free will, because we're already confined to what our bodies can do, and then we're confined to our own nature of what we want to do or don't want to do. It's like, oh, so I have this experiment in mind that I want to present to the person that says that free will is real. And I don't think anyone would actually pass my experiment because it's set up to be unfair. And my experiment would be, okay, sir, you think you have free will. Okay, great. Here's 2 platters of food. Well, one's not really food, but you're going to eat one of these 2 things. We'll have a few guards with guns to make sure you do it. And if that threat's not enough, we also have your friends and family hostage as well. We'll do terrible things to you if you don't cooperate. You have to eat what's under one of these, the platter, on one of these platters. One is a delicious looking hamburger, 100%, tenderized, yummy beef made by best, Gordon Ramsay or whatever. I don't know. The other platter has a pile of poo on it. Okay, person that believes in free will, eat the pile of poo to prove that you have free will. Because if you don't, then you're proving that you don't have free will because you have to eat the hamburger because you don't want to eat the other one and you can't go against your own desire. And so I win because either they eat shit and I get enjoyment of that, and then they go, see, I do have free will, And I go, well, no, you didn't want to do it, but you're doing it, I guess. So, I guess that might be some indication of free will. Now we need some more people to do it on. We need like 1,000 people or so to make it a proper test. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get arrested at the end of this, but, just saying, in my sick world of pretend tests that I set up for people, this is what I would do, which is why I should totally run for president. Anyways. Clamors? What the hell are you talking about? Okay. Consciousness is a fundamental aspect of reality, and that all things, including inanimate objects, possess some form of conscious experiences, man. Whoa, dude. Yeah, like rocks. Well, rocks are atheists. I eat that. No, rocks are not atheists. Clamors? I don't know who's Clamors? Who are you talking about, chat? Yeah, it's not free will if you're coerced into it. Right, exactly. Well, yeah, that's, it's like, I don't know. So we have limited free will if we have free will at all. I don't know. I don't know how you would test it. I have no idea. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know. My silly thought experiment is not a proper experiment at all by any stretch of the imagination. But see, I'm free and able to question consciousness without laughing about it. I'm able to question, free will without panicking. And here we have now, admittedly, a young theist, but still somebody that has fallen into the trappings of religion. And because of that, it's like they become unable / unwilling, or at least highly resistant to challenging certain aspects of what they think is true, because that would bang up against their belief that they hold near and dear. I don't know. Oh, David Chalmers talks about consciousness a lot. Hey, Johnny. Jacques Lacoon. I think where I am not, therefore I am where I. What the fuck are you guys talking about? I think where I am not, therefore I am where I do not think. I am not whether I am the plaything of my thought. I think of what I am where I do not think to think. What the fuck are you guys saying? I don't understand. Put that in a syllogism. I don't. What the heck are you doing? Well, I read something or heard something about that, and I thought about this. That reality is I'm on a time delay from reality. Now it's a few microseconds, but still, because light takes a certain amount of time to hit my eyes. Then it takes a certain amount of time to go to my brain and get translated and all that. And that takes, a few microseconds, whatever it is, pentoseconds or something, Yeah. But still, technically I'm always looking at the past. I'm not ever in the present. At least, I feel like I'm in the present in my own brain. Like I feel like, hey, I'm saying these words right now. But then I'm like, how is it that I am saying the words that I'm saying now? Like, if I think just thoughts in my own head and I'm not speaking out loud, I hear this little voice. Well, it's not little, it sounds like me when I talk to my, out loud to me. That's what I sound like in my head when I'm talking just in my head to me. So, what am I doing? Am I using the same parts of my brain to talk, but I'm just not talking out loud? Like, there is a difference, but what's that difference? I don't know. And apparently, and what's amazing is you can reprogram that difference, because like the Pentecostals have done that with their silly talking in tongues, where if you do it long enough, you rewire your brain so that when they, because what's his name? What's his name? Andrew Newberg had done many studies on this and all this, and he showed brain scans of somebody that talked in tongues, and like the area that normally lit up when they were speaking didn't light up, but instead the sides of the brain lit up when they were doing in tongues. And so they said, it's not me doing it. And well, because of the way that the brain recognizes you, quote unquote, it felt like not them doing it, but it was them because it's still their brain. It doesn't feel like them. And so that's really weird that we can do that. We can reprogram our brain to do that. You have to do it long and hard to get there, but you can do it. So I wonder what else we can reprogram our brain to do. And oh man, some religions have stumbled into how to do that pretty darn successfully. Yeah, it seems there's a thinking thing. Yeah. So I mean, I think that the idea of consciousness, I don't know who was saying that it doesn't exist or is illusion or whatever. I suppose you could say it's illusionary in one aspect, but you need a label to the phenomenon. And for now, the label is consciousness, because that's the label that we have. And so you would at best have to have a different label and then have to say what it is then, and you'd have to have something else to replace it, I suppose. But yeah, I don't have a problem questioning it, and you did in chat, and none of us were upset about it, and perhaps we found it intellectually interesting to ponder of whether or not we could be skeptical of consciousness itself. And it's well, we do the thought experiment, we ran through it, and was like, well, there's still a thing, that's this thing that we have to label in some way, and that's what we're labeling it. Maybe we don't understand, what are we talking about? We're talking about how the brain works, right? Okay. And it's like, well, none of us are neurologists, so what do we know? And then psychology is different than neurology. Maybe the two should link up. I think they would do better to do that, but what do I know? Theories of mind and group think and all these things. I mean, we see people do things that are absolutely amazing and scary, especially in riots. And I remember reading and looking at how people's behavior completely changes if everyone around you is doing nonsense, that you will probably also do nonsense, because, well, it must be what to do. You need to blend in. I mean, it's like, well, I might as well, and then people that they surveyed, I remember reading about certain riots that they surveyed, and these people, I never have breaking any laws. I'm an outstanding citizen. I would never hurt anyone. And they broke a window with a trash can and looted this place and stole this stuff, and they didn't even keep the stuff. They just trashed the stuff and destroyed the stuff. And it was just so nonsensical, because it was their own neighborhood that they were hurting as they were protesting the abuse of people in that neighborhood. I think this was the Rodney King riots, I believe. And so they, so all these people were like rioting. They didn't even know why they were rioting. Said, I don't know why I was rioting. And this was like the case with several people that they interviewed. It's very interesting. It's like they didn't even know why they were doing it when they were doing it. It's just like, well, everyone else was doing it, I guess, um, oh yeah, Johnny, your friend said he would read my poem, but I emailed it to you, and I don't know if you ever got it to him or whatever. Email me so I know what the bleep's going on there, Johnny. Yeah, figure that out. Yeah, I should probably email Johnny. I keep telling it's like, hey, do this. Yeah, I don't mean to sound demanding. I'm sorry. Yeah, dualism. Dualism is such a, it's this metaphysics stuff. Like your mind is separate from your body. No, I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't appear to be that way. If you hurt your brain, then the person changes. If there's that one famous guy, I forget his name now. I'd have to look it up, but he got like a railroad spike through his head, and he became just this completely different person, And so from the inside looking out, he probably didn't even notice. Like, he probably thought, oh, this is the way I've always been. I mean, like, I don't know what that, I wouldn't want to know what that's like. And then I think about the guy that had the split hemisphere where one hemisphere is a theist and the other one's an atheist. I'm thinking about that a lot. And like, what would it be like to be that guy? Is he two guys? Like how does that work? I don't know. What's it like to be him? Is he two different people? Which one is him? They're both him. Neither one is him. I don't know. But he's not the him that he was before he had his brain split. He's a different person. In fact, he's two people in a way. That's insane. It's like, so what does that mean for consciousness or who we are? Who knows? I don't know. Yeah. Send me poems. Okay, cool. Will do. I see, Johnny. No problem. I got it. I understand. No problem. We'll be doing that. Almost sent it to somebody else. He will probably analyze my poem using some philosophy department or some crap and like write this big old thing that I don't understand and tell me to delete it if I send it to him. So I'm not going to send it to him. He knows who he is. He's confusing me with these big words all the time, and I love him though. I do love him for it. I probably should get out of here. Nobody else wants to join in and talk to me more. I wanted to talk, damn it. I wanted to have an intellectual conversation, and it wasn't happening with that guy at any rate. He was too young. I don't know. Too young and sure of himself. Yeah, when I was 18, back in the day, I thought I knew. I don't know if I was cocky, but I certainly was. I certainly thought that I was very independent. Yeah, I joined the military. That was a brilliant idea. Like, I'm this independent person. I'm going to join the military. I was told this story once by a pastor that this guy had said, I'm tired of taking orders. I'm joining the Marines. I was like, what? No idea if it was, it's like, okay, that's funny. It's like, that's the opposite of what, like, what? Where? That is not my poems. Where the hell did I put my poems? That is what I am asking here. You know what? I should just do this later. Yeah, that's what I should do. Hey, Germania. Yeah, essence. Well, I don't know what you mean by essence, because I was like, what do you mean? Do you know what essence means? I know what I think it means. Essence is just like a perfume, right? See, I could have gone that route. It's a perfume. It is a perfume. Yeah, it is. It's a perfume. Oh, we have definitions. Yeah, well, it's a magazine, actually. I should have gone with that. I think it's a perfume as well. It's got cosmetics. It's an award-winning makeup brand. Close enough. They probably have perfume. So I could have been like, hey, yeah, Essence. I know exactly what you mean. You're talking about this right here, right? And he'd be like, no, that's not. What the hell? Be like, look, see, it says Essence right there in the corner. See? You told me to do my own research. This is me doing my own research. Isn't this what you meant by essence? You know? It said essence. So, I mean, this is what I found on Google. You see, it says essence right there. Isn't that what you meant? And he'd be like, no, that's not what I mean. You're stupid. Man, run away again. The essence of the thing is the thing. I don't know. I think he was trying to do the stupid new argument that's come about, that argument from consciousness, that's ginormous word salad, that just basically argues that because that things can only come from things that are like them, so intelligence can only come from intelligence, which is dumb and wrong, because no, that's not how things are. At one point, animals, like, what do you mean by intelligence? Of course, would be one problem. It's like, oh, okay, so, somewhere there was a gradient of, chemicals floating around that we wouldn't call intelligence. And then the chemicals got enough chemicals going together to be like a bigger thing. And then, like, at some point, it behaved in a way that we would call intelligence. But before that moment, it wasn't intelligent. So there goes your argument up in flames. And they go, oh, that's not what we mean. Well, I know reality stomped on it. It's so stupid. I checked out the story. It was stupider than usual. I don't know. I enjoy it. I don't care. Because, like I said, I'm here to try to encourage people to learn informal logic. I don't think that I'm going about it in a coherent method that makes any damn sense, which is ironic given that, I love logic. I mean, it's like, you should do a thing that's logical then, deconverted man. Yeah, well, thing is, make a good point, pretend person that's talking to me now. But, anyways. The dictionary has yeah, I don't know what the hell he means by essence. I don't know what he meant by that. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, essence? Like, what? In reference to what? Like, the essence. Like, but I don't care, because premise one wasn't a premise, so it didn't matter. Like, well, you already failed on P1, so when did he email me? Let's see. When was the first email there? That was 7 days ago. Yin Yang. 7 days ago. 7 days. Ring, ring. Hello? No. Yeah? You know who this is. Is this outright like, hey, how's it going? Oh no! I was telling you never to call me. Anyways, I can't do the ring sound anymore because I'm missing teeth. Send teeth to me. I need them. I don't know where they are. I lost them. After my chat with a real philosopher. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah. Sometime after that. I mean, that might have been where he came from. I have no idea. Yeah, the real philosopher guy. He was interesting, at least. He actually kind of knew what he was talking about to some extent. But I do think that the main problem with many of these theists is that they look at the argument and they don't know logic. And they go, huh, that seems right. And then they just accept it. And then they're kind of taught that authority matters, especially in Christianity. That's the sum total of Christianity, really. You look at the story, it begins with questioning authority is bad. God, the ultimate authority, says, don't do this thing. They don't know good from bad, right from wrong. Doesn't matter. Because God's authority, they shouldn't question God. See, that's the key lesson. None of that matters. You're not supposed to pick apart the story. The message of the story is don't question the authority. The authority is supposed to be God. God said, don't do this. They did it. Doesn't matter why they did it. They did it. Now they have to face the consequences. Which is, I always thought interesting. The female will have more pain in childbirth. So already there was going to be pain in the Garden of Eden. I think I wonder if theists missed this when the more literalist theists, she'd experience more pain during childbirth. So there's already going to be pain. And now you could, somebody that agrees with evolution, you could say, the reason she was going to experience more pain is because the brain cavity had to get bigger because now we had knowledge. So now the brain cavity has to grow. And that's evolution. And I'm like, but that's not how evolution works. And you're like, well, but Eve is a metaphor. Oh, so who committed the first sin? Well, the metaphor did. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Thanks. Bye, Yin Yang. Bye, everybody. All right, now Yin Yang's gone. Let's make fun of him. No, just kidding. Love Yin Yang. Love him. Don't let anybody tell you it's a setup troll. I don't know. I doubt it. I don't think so. I don't know. Whatever. It was fun. All right, guys, girls, robots, etc. I think that's it. Nobody else wants to join in and talk to me. So, I've run my hour and plus, and this was a thing that did a thing. The position of Platonic realism. Yeah. I think that if we were going to try to steel man his broken argument, that's what it would probably be. That knowledge can only come from knowledge and yada, yada, yada. Therefore, there's an absolute knowledge that really exists out there separate from a brain. Because God doesn't have a brain, but he has a mind. Because that makes sense. Like, I don't know. Like, how would God work? See, that the thing is, like, God would have to have its own physics. God would have to have its own structure. It would have to be made of something. It can't just be made out of God, or it's a single cell amoeba that can't think. If there's a God, it has to be some sort of thing that has rhyme and reason to it. And it can't be outside space-time, because then there's nowhere, no when for it to be. So it can exist in a different parallel dimension or universe. But it hasn't said anything to humans. Maybe it's waiting for us humans to get over the idea of God before it introduces itself. Everything else is too dumb even with that. Lisa's misunderstanding of relativity cannot be just a mistake. That really is trollish. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Seems like he thought, he knew what he was talking about. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. I'll talk to whoever. I mean, doesn't make their point any better. and it just makes it look worse, so you didn't have a good argument. That's the only point that needs to be made. And maybe he won't change right now. Maybe it'll be some years before he looks back and goes, man, like I did, all these dang atheists are asking me all these damn questions. I keep failing to make my point. I've called them names. That didn't work. I've been angry. That didn't work. I said things that I thought were true. That didn't work. Maybe I should actually study something to see if I can give them the thing that they're asking for. Oh, God. There's no evidence for any of this. Oh, well, okay. I still have the arguments, though. Maybe I better learn how arguments work. Uh-oh. These arguments suck. Oh, shit. Now what? I guess I'll be an atheist. Welcome to the dark side. Anyways. Thanks, everybody. Meow. Premise 1. Lobsters exist. Premise 2. If lobsters exist, then I'm right about everything. Conclusion. I'm cannibal pancakes. There's some brokenness in that argument. Let me know what that is in the comments below. If you made it this far, type in the secret word Zuma Zuma that killed God. By the way, everybody, in case you missed it, because you might not be aware of my community tab where I review shows and TV from time to time that I watch. I post little mini reviews on my community tab. And sometimes I post, if I have a new blog entry or whatever, I'll post that there. And I don't know if anyone sees it or not, but anyways, what was I talking about? Shoot. I thought I put it here. Yeah. Oh, yes, I did. 9 days ago. There it is. I'll just show you what I'm talking about here. Then I'll go. I know I already said I'd go, but I lied. I wasn't really ready to go. I thought I was, but I wasn't. I wasn't really ready. Okay, so see this thing, God is dead. Right? Oh, it's still not big enough to see. God damn. Okay. Fuck. Okay. All right. So this thing, 9 days ago, God is dead, and this was Math Pig's hangout, and so over there, basically, there was a God-eating monster or creature rather, and I knew the secret words that would release it from captivity, and it would go eat God and kill it. So the guy did not want to say that God's a lobster, which he could have then just asked for forgiveness from God later. He could have been like, yeah, fine, God's a lobster, and then said, I'm sorry, God, that's not real, that's not true, But he didn't want to say that. So I had to say the secret word, Zuma Zuma, and that released the God-eating monster that ate God, and that was it. God's dead now. So just let you know, if you ever get an argument about God, just send them to that video and say, hey, look, God's dead. Deconverted man, he released the God-eating monster, and now God's dead. God was alive at one point. Now it's dead. And then, to make things worse, the creature then starved to death because it didn't have any more gods to eat. Turns out one god wasn't enough. If only Hinduism had been true, it'd still be alive eating gods. But sadly, apparently there was only one god. But I'm told that it had the 3-course meal at least. The Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Then it expired. So there's no more God, and there's no more God-eating creature. But I still have secret monsters and creatures locked up with secret words that only I know, that I can release. So don't cross me, or I'll do it. I'll send the lobsters. So you don't know what I have. All right, leave a comment.